All right. Carnivore Soldier coming at you from Austin, Texas. You made it another week. And actually, this is Independence Day week. So tomorrow is Independence Day. We're going to be celebrating some good stuff. Going to go ahead and tell England to have fun at work tomorrow. I hope they have a great day while they're working all day, while we're out having drinks or hang out with friends or doing all the fun stuff that we earned. And just remember, it's only treason if you lose. So that's what these guys found out. So anyway, we're not going to be talking politics today, though. We are just going to acknowledge that tomorrow is our nation's birthday. And we're going to also acknowledge that these guys were pretty dope. These guys were laying everything on the line to get our freedom that we're enjoying now. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Founding Fathers, and everyone that took a stand. All right, so what we got now, we're going to be talking about a resource that I found that is a beginner's guide for carnivore online that we can share with other people. We can also refer back to it, and we're going to be going through it and talking about it with our guests. So let's bring our guests in. We got John, the carnivore teacher, 1965. We got DC Learning to Live. We got Christy from Meeting Wellness, and we might be having a couple more people joining us in a little bit too. So why don't you guys go around real quick and introduce yourselves? You can start, John, and then go down to DC and Christy after that.
All right. Hi, I'm John Laspina. I'm the carnivore teacher on YouTube, and I am a carnivore. We're going to talk everything carnivore. I have lots to say. To DC, your turn.
Hey, hello everyone. Those who don't know me, I'm DC, learning to live, learning to sort of get my life back together after many years of chemotherapy, dealing with blood cancer, and recovering from being homeless and things like that. So carnivore, high-fat diet has given me a whole new life. So and keto before that for many years. So that's pretty much me. How about you, Christy?
Hey, I'm Christy. My channel is Meeting Wellness, although I'm also a carnivore teacher, right, John?
You are.
So we have that in common. I've officially been carnivore for 1 year now, you guys, because it's July. Yay. And I know that I went carnivore in June of 2023, although I don't have a specific date. And I've just totally improved my mental health, which I didn't even think was a problem before. But now that I'm out of all the brain fog and anxiety and all of that, I'm never going back. So carnivore's been a total game changer for me. And I just went in for the weight loss, you guys.
So did I. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. We got some people saying you guys are amazing singers, too, by the way.
We're having fun.
We're having so much fun.
Sing together. So duets, right?
Yeah.
Rick wants to join us, but he's in the bathtub.
Join us.
Christy, tell us about your lionesses. I hear about lionesses a lot. Now, actually, I've seen it before. Tell me about your lioness meetups and what that is all about.
Okay, so yeah, I think my absolute favorite thing that I do on my channel, which, as you know, I do a variety of things, including now singing duets with John. But every single Tuesday, I am one of the 3 hosts of a show called Lioness Lifestyle Live, and every week we have on a different guest, and then they tell us their stories. So the show last night was a woman who has put her eating disorder in remission, and she struggled with bulimia for 20 years. And carnivore totally flipped that around for her. So that's just one example. But yeah, every single Tuesday, it's 5 p.m. Pacific. We have on a guest, and we just sort of sit around and chat. And all lions are also welcome. It's not just the lionesses that are allowed.
Very cool.
So I hear a rumor that the lionesses are going to take over my channel one night.
Oh, and I have a special shirt, so we just have to pick a date. We're coming for you, Larry.
They're getting ready.
They're coming for the Carnivore Soldiers channel. You're just going to let me know. I'm not going to tell anyone, so people have to dial in each week, because one of these weeks it's going to be the lioness
takeover. That's right.
That'll be fun.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, guys, and you know me, Carnivore Soldier. I've been carnivore for 16 months now, I believe. March 22nd. So yeah. That's about 16 months. And it saved my life too. Changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life. I'm now doing things I never thought I would do. I remember in the 80s, and this is kind of, it has nothing to do with diet or anything, but it has to do with the mind being healed. I mean, in the 80s, I test drove a Porsche, never bought it. In the 90s, I test drove a Porsche, never bought it. And then it was one of those dreams that just got away. And I thought, well, I'm never going to have one. And then, as of last March, I never even thought I would ever have one. Now I've got one and I love it. And it's like, I should have bought one in the 80s, but I didn't. But now I'm living one of my dreams. And these are the things that happen when your mind gets healthy. You set new goals, you set new dreams, you start making extra money, your creativity increases. Everything is optimized. It's an optimization diet. And in fact, with weight, like Christy said, it's a body optimization diet, right? And a mind optimization diet. So you are going to lose weight because you're going to get to whatever the optimal weight is. Duke just scared himself. The optimal weight is for your frame, like what you're designed to be. So it's really great. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I know you all had mental health changes, especially you, DC, because you were in a bad state with the chemo. But for me, I mean, no depression, good days. I mean, planning things, doing things that I never thought I would do in my life again. And so it literally saved my life. It really did.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're going to talk about today is this Nerd Fitness website, which I will link in the description, and I'm going to post it in the comments so you guys can look at it if you want. And this is 5 questions to following an all meat diet, the guide to carnivore. So what we're going to do is we're going to just discuss the points on this. And I think it covers a lot of good stuff. It doesn't cover everything though. So so I'll read it. The 5 sections are: what is the carnivore diet? What are the benefits of the carnivore diet? What do you eat on a carnivore diet? Is the carnivore diet safe? I think we can answer that one pretty well. And then how do I start the carnivore diet? Right. So these are the areas. So the first thing about what is a carnivore diet, and if you guys break in, if you want me to stop and talk about anything here, it is basically eating meat, drinking water, and consuming nothing else, is what they say. I'm pretty much on board with that. I like the BBB&E myself. Yeah. And I have done lion, and that sounds more like lion eating meat, and especially ruminant meat, right? But more importantly than what you eat is what you don't eat, I think. And I know John's going to jump on this. I know DC. I know all you guys are. For me, what you don't eat, right? Processed foods, seed oils, grains, all the 4 horsemen of the diet apocalypse, I like to call them, which is your sugar, your grains, your hydrogenated oils, and your seed oils. Those are the 4 horsemen. That's what they make every processed food out of, pretty much. So it's what you don't eat. And, these things too, of course, are not necessarily carnivore diet. But let me ask you guys, what do you think on that definition? I've heard that if you eat 70% of your diet of animal-based meat, you are on a carnivore diet. Do you guys have any feedback on that or ideas?
Yeah, I agree. Anything over 70%, you are still on like a hyper carnivore. Okay, that's basic fact. Some people, I mean, I know there's a lot of people say like, you're not on the carnivore diet unless you are like 100% or 95%. So that's just, that's ridiculous. Most of your 70% of your diet being fat and meat, you're still a hyper carnivore. So
I agree. I think, we make the definition. What is a carnivore? I mean, it's not below 50 or 60%, but there are some people, some evangelical carnivores who it has to be only animal products and not a drop of anything else. And they're very religious about it. And, we make our own definition within our own community, but the basics are anything from the animal kingdom. And then excluding, like you said, the bad stuff, the starch, the sugar, and the seed oil. So some people drink coffee. Some people have some condiments that don't have sugar or starch or seed oil in them, but they have some plants in there a little bit. the amount of health benefits that we gain by being 70% or higher are just amazing. They're magical. That's how great they are. So many people are healing amazing things from their body. They're not just losing weight like we talk about. So many wonderful things are happening. Mental health improvements. I was talking to a guy last week with Alzheimer's, a younger guy who has Alzheimer's, who's reversing his Alzheimer's. Reversing it. Isn't that amazing? I haven't heard that story yet, and he's telling me about it. And he's doing it with carnivore. So it's powerful. It's super powerful.
Yeah, I would add that my son, who is 15, he started, I guess, with this definition of the 70% or higher, definitely carnivore. Although, you know, this definition on this website does not include dairy. He does still do some dairy, like some cheese and some whole milk, but mostly meat. And he started that because of his ADHD. And it was a night and day difference in this child that I have, you know, raised for the last 15 years. His attitude has totally changed. He started like cleaning his room of his own. Like I didn't have to tell him to. He doesn't like have
crazy.
Crazy. He doesn't have these like angry fits. And when I say clean his room, it wasn't like a little dirty. I'm talking he took 18 bags of junk out of his room just on his own. Like I used to fight with him and I'm like, I'm not going to fight that battle because I ain't not winning it. So I'm going to stop fighting it. And just within a week of changing his diet, which he did, I had to get him on board because, you know, he's 15. But yeah, all of a sudden these bags, that's the first thing I noticed that was a change is these bags of trash were just coming out of his room. And I was like, what are you doing? And he just like calmly was like, oh, I'm just, you know, cleaning my room. And I'm like, is this the same kid that we used to do like war over? Like, because it's gross stuff, you guys, like borderline hoarding, just everything. He would never want to throw anything away. And then it was like he started being on time for school, you know, and he stopped. He would just be totally emotionally dysregulated and he would get angry and yell and, you know, call me every name. And I'm, you know, I can't even say some of the names and all this stuff. And all of that just like ceased. And we tried everything. We tried everything from counseling to medication for his whole life.
It really makes me wonder. Because driving, I don't usually commute, but I had to commute into UT the other day for a meeting with vendors and upper management. And the amount of road rage that I witnessed just on a 30-mile drive was insane. I mean, it was really brutal. And this is Austin. It's not even a big city. And I'm like, wow. And I wonder, you know, you see that in your son. I wonder, you do that across the population in general, what happens? Because when I grew up, John, you might remember this. I never heard of road rage. We didn't have drivers doing that crazy.
No, I don't remember it when I was a kid. No,
it was just people driving in line. I remember being a kid and watching, you know, sitting next to my grandpa or my dad, and it was just like normal driving. There was no people jamming in and locking up and doing all the crazy stuff.
They're all on their phones too. It's just it's
multitasking, right?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you
Christy, I think you know Rick is a great example of like a big change in teenage years. You know, Rick started when he was about the same age as your son.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Hey.
Welcome.
Nice to see you.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you put a quack like me in here.
He's got that Lawrence Welk microphone, and if you're old enough to know what that is, a 1 and a 2 and a 3. You know that.
I just got to get an accordion.
There you go. God, are we old? Lawrence Welk. We all laughed at that.
My grandparents
We sure did, John. We sure
None of
did.
the kids would know what that is today.
We used to have to watch Lawrence Welk and Hee Haw. Hee Haw and Lawrence Welk.
Oh, I loved Hee Haw.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I loved what was it? Buck Owens and what was the other guy? I'm trying to remember. I'm a picking, I'm a grinning, or something like
Picking
that.
and grinning.
So in this, they say that dairy might be included depending on your interpretation of the diet. Again, this is interpretation. Now, it also, I think, highly depends on what you're trying to accomplish and what the state of your body is. Your son does not have metabolic disease advanced, right? My son doesn't either. So he can get away with a lot dirtier diet and still get great results.
I don't think dairy is dirty though. It depends on your source as well.
Well, I'm not talking about that.
You have to get raw. raw,
If you are
clean
trying to lose weight,
dairy.
dairy can stop you from losing weight, though.
Well, dairy
Because it does
has,
have lactose, which is a sugar in it.
but it
A lot
comes
of
from an animal. So
It does come from
That's
an
right.
animal.
It is animal based.
It depends on what your
yeah.
goal is.
Yeah, and yeah, of course, it depends on your goals as well, but it also depends on the person because you know, from person to person, you know, your tolerance does change.
Exactly.
But again, it's very, very difficult to get a raw, clean dairy product these days. So, like raw milk is one thing, but trying to find a raw cheese and butter and things like that is very, very difficult. You know, a lot of them are, especially like grated cheese, are full of you know, cellulose, which is like wood pulp and other things that are drugs, and you know, all these fillers and stuff like that, and you know, emulsifiers, and you know, some of the thick creams, even these really heavy creams that people like to buy and put
carrageenan in it and all that stuff.
Yeah, carrageenan, which is a carcinogenic that is literally used in labs to initiate and grow tumors for the study of in cancer research. But they're actually putting this in your foods, you know, like in your dairy products, which is another reason, like stay the hell away from places like Starbucks, you know, because it's just full, you know, almost every drink on the menu, it has this stuff in it.
Yeah, it's bad stuff. In fact, California actually passed a law where they made it. They had to put a cancer warning on Starbucks.
Oh my God!
Now Starbucks lobbied the and got that off, but the fact that they did it is just because what was in it. I mean, nothing's changed in the formula. What changed was they lobbied the politicians to get that off, even though it still met the standard of being carcinogenic by California's rules.
And yeah, you still have these you know, so-called like carnivore channels and other people. I'm not going to name names, but they tell you that they do these videos on fasting, and then the next video will be, this is what I order when I go to Starbucks and get a latte. You might as well eat a box of donuts.
So they also call, it says here, they call the carnivore diet a zero carb diet, which is a good way to it's a little bit of a misnomer, but it's a good way to, it is a very low carb ketogenic diet, right?
I'd say low carb.
I mean, even if you have eggs, you're gonna have some carbs. So, but you can refer to it as a zero carb because you're not counting. I think the best part is you're just not counting carbs because you're eating such low carb food that you don't really have to.
That is a benefit to carnivore that a lot of people don't talk about, is how effortless it is to, you know, you're all these other forms of eating, they're counting macros and charting and tracking and counting and weighing and measuring, and you know, animals in the wild don't do that. They eat instinctively, their ancestral food. And if we eat instinctively our ancestral food, we eat when we're hungry, we stop when we're full, we drink when we're thirsty, we don't when we're not. It's simple. If something tastes good with salt, it means my body wants the salt. There's no thinking involved. We overthink things and complicate things as humans.
Absolutely.
Hey, Rick, when's the last time you counted your macros?
Counted macros?
What's a macro?
I don't know.
What's a macro? That's the right answer, actually.
You wouldn't believe how much I can eat. You know, 4 to 6 pounds of meat a day, 6 eggs, cheese, yogurt. Like, who knows how many calories that is?
Right, and he's thin.
Yeah.
I'm thinner than anybody, and I
Body
eat.
handles
Everybody
it
knows.
until you're not hungry. Do you eat till you're not hungry, Rick?
I never really get hungry. That's the funny thing. I just eat regularly. You know, I'm like my truck. I think about, I don't want to run out of fuel. So every 3 times a day, when I wake up in the morning, I have breakfast. I have lunch as soon as I can between noon and 2. And I have dinner around this time or earlier. My dinner's actually cooking right now. I'm having pork chops. So, you know, it's whatever I have available and I eat it. And like I said, usually 2 pounds of meat per meal is my perfect amount.
Christy, you don't have a live stream link. Maybe it ran out. I don't know.
I tried it twice. I was just redoing it, and it's weird. It says it's upcoming. It won't go live. So
sorry.
Okay, it's fine. I tried it twice, and it won't stream for some reason.
So,
but yeah, thanks, Ellie, for letting me know.
A lot of raw milk in Amish farm areas. We have raw milk here in Texas too. You can go to and you can probably get it most places you live in America if you go to a farmer's market. That's where I buy it. And it has a sticker that says not fit for human consumption. It's meant for cats and stuff.
Sounds good
to me. Which just means that they can't legally sell it, right?
Right.
We
They have
can
It
to
get
is
use-
raw.
fine.
It's a cover your ass sticker.
A cover your
Yeah.
ass
Yeah.
sticker. Exactly.
We can get raw dairy for human consumption here in California, but it's really expensive.
bet,
We're
yeah.
talking like $20 for a gallon of milk.
I paid $15
Yeah.
for a
Whoa.
gallon of milk here in Texas.
I will buy it once
Okay.
to try. I've never tried raw milk. I would love
It's
to
great.
try raw milk
It is like the best milk you've ever had.
because
can
I
say that.
love
Absolutely.
dairy, cream, and milk.
You love
I just
milk.
Yeah.
You need to try it. It is
Yeah.
like the caviar of milk.
Oh,
I've gotten this straight from the cow in the past when we used to have dairies around here.
Did
It was
you?
easy to get raw
oh
milk.
wow.
I did a lot of work for a lot of these farmers, so milk was always available for free. Here, take some. Okay. Good for making yogurt. And I stopped drinking milk when I was 20, but I've used it for making yogurt and cheese, and that's some of the best yogurt and cheese I've ever had.
Oh yeah. I love cheese. I
But
have to
Dan
be-
McCarthy has a question. I think this is you, John, that said this, right? We
Oh,
eat
I-
when we're
what is
hungry
it?
and drink when we're thirsty.
Who
So,
said that? I didn't see. Oh, I did, Dan.
You did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just we overcomplicate things, and
We
we
do.
need to. It's not hard, and it's so simple. People want a complicated answer, or they think there's a magic secret. It's not. It's just it's so simple. Basic.
So
food.
this page is cool because it's like beginning carnivore, but it gives you a little history here, which is kind of neat because I think it's important that people understand that this is an ancestral diet, which means that we've
Absolutely.
had thousands of generations that have lived off this diet. And
Yeah.
so they go into the history of the carnivore diet and they talk about the Inuit paradox, which I love. I never heard it called that before, but love it. And this is something they were researching back in the turn of the last century, in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And I think someone who was looking at dental
Well, the
decay
people,
and everything.
one of the biggest names that actually was doing that in the late 1800s, early 1900s, Wilhelm Stephenson.
This guy,
I think-
he's on the page.
yeah, that's it.
So
Yeah,
this is a
Wilhelm
great page.
Stephenson.
It's got some good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Wilhelm-
I did a couple of videos on him actually. He's a brilliant guy. But he went up to the Arctic. He spent 13 summers, 10 winters up in the Arctic Circle, living with the river people and the Inuit. And he spent more than 6 years on eating just an all meat fat diet. And he basically, and he literally says like that a balanced diet is a mix of animal fat and muscle meat. That's
Yep.
it. That's a balanced diet. And he was at the time, he was a very big opponent against John Harvey Kellogg.
Oh,
But
wow.
Kellogg was very, very powerful. You know, he had sanitarians all over the place, and he had control with many politicians. You know, so I mean, they knew this stuff back then. They knew it.
Yeah, it says
and he
here,
was-
the Inuit. have
he was saying they
traditionally held-
survived. They survived on a good mix of whale blubber, polar bear blubber, seal blubber, and and fish, of course. as
Caribou.
well. So
They ate caribou too.
yeah, caribou. Mm.
So it says the Inuit traditionally held low rates of heart disease with no nutritional deficiencies until sadly they were introduced to more Western diet,
The Western
pizza,
diet,
chips,
yeah.
and soda. And now they have diabetes and obesity rates that rose. So I mean, everywhere you
Yeah.
go, you can go to Australia, same exact thing happened. You go to our Indian reservations here, same exact thing happened. You can go to Africa where they've been westernized, same exact. It's the exact same pattern. There's no separation.
Yeah.
So
any people living in their natural environment and having their natural human diet don't follow or don't really
Right.
have any deficiencies.
And the same for animals in the wild. You will never see a fat deer or a fat
No, that's
fox
right.
or
Right.
any fat mammal out in the wild unless they're breaking into a campground and eating human food.
Yeah.
which is making them sick.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Christy, the next thing they say is why is carnivore diet becoming popular now? It says one name, Sean Baker. You got to meet Sean Baker.
Yeah, I
the other
did.
day. Tell us about what your takeaway from meeting Sean Baker was, please.
He's very tall, and the person who took our picture cut off his head, so I have no proof that I even met him. But let me tell you
Actually,
this about Sean
I spoke
Baker.
with Sean.
Yeah,
I
he
spoke with
was there.
Stephen Baker on
and-
his channel.
yeah.
He's a really nice guy, actually.
He is.
Yeah, he was
He's a real
very
gentleman.
nice, and he was on his way to get bacon, but he stopped to talk and take a picture with me. So he gave up bacon at least for a few minutes to come and say hello and meet me. And so it was actually great meeting all the doctors there at Hack Your Health in Larry's hometown, Austin.
Yeah, it was fun to see those guys because, like DC said, they're nice when you interview with them, but they're exactly the same in person. They're not fake. They're not like, oh, I don't have time to talk to you like I'm a big guy or anything. They took time to talk to my sister, my brother, whoever wanted to talk to them. Really, they would make time, and and not just them, all you guys, everyone I met there. Not all you guys. I didn't meet you, DC. I didn't meet you, Rick, but everyone I did meet there presented exactly in person, if not better, than they did
Who we are online. Yeah.
Online, which I like, because that means these aren't fake people. It's not a bunch of, this is a community of people that are really doing this and living the experience, right?
Yeah.
So that's the history. It's kind of brushes over it, but it's quick enough, but it kind of gives you enough information to really
It doesn't
want to
really
learn
go
more.
back far enough like that. There's a lot of done, even before back then, like
Oh, yeah, Salisbury, Dr.
Salisbury,
Yeah.
and the siege of Alexandria, where horse meat became very popular in France.
The Mongols.
Yeah, because the Mongols, they were very big, solid soldiers that just survived on horse meat, and they demolished anyone in their path. They were amazing.
Did you know that the Mongols, I read this, and I'll find the source. I read it in a history book about them. They conscripted soldiers between the age of 14 and 60.
Wow. What does that tell you?
Yeah, exactly. Like I can tell you right now, if they conscripted me, I could go fight. I know I could, right? And this is the crazy
thing, that it goes directly against this big lie that we all died before we got to age
at 35, right?
Yeah, 35 garbage.
When they counted that number, they're looking at infant mortality rates, and they're looking at all the other diseases that have nothing to do with
the
the essential
infant
diet.
mortality rate was like 50%.
Right, it was.
Before 9 years old.
Infections, bacterial. We didn't. The medicines that we have today help us with those things, but then our diet that we have today is causing all these other horrible things. We didn't used to have heart attacks.
Yeah, well, that through that period though, those people, that infant mortality, that also came down to a lack of nutrition as well. They didn't have access to meat and things like that. It was mostly cities that were having those problems with infant mortality as well, and living in no plumbing, no indoor plumbing, and all these other things going on as well. It wasn't just the fact that we got medicines; that we also built infrastructure and food chain supplies and things like that as well, that really help fight against these things. But another thing is too, like even like the founding fathers of America, they were well in their 70s when they
Yes, they were.
Hey, Christy, correct me if I'm wrong, but babies are born carnivores, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
babies are born in ketosis. I wish I would have known that, but I did breastfeed my two boys for a full year, even not knowing that. So looking back, I at least gave them a pretty good start, I feel. But yes, babies are born into ketosis, and that's what helps them, to survive and stay warm and all of that kind of stuff.
And
develop.
develop.
The only thing they are ingesting when they're first born is milk, and mother's milk.
Right.
That's all they're taking.
It has
It's
everything.
like the most cholesterol-rich food or something like that.
It is. It has all the vitamins, minerals, proteins, fat. It has everything. And then we lose the lactase enzyme, a lot of us, when we hit a certain age, and it's a little harder for us to digest it. And then if we drink a lot of it now, we gain weight, because you're meant to gain weight and grow when you drink lots and lots of dairy. So that's why it's not really, we're not supposed to have it later on in life. Now, cheeses, I love sour cream, a little bit here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I hate to interrupt here, you guys, but I'm going to a 4th of July baseball game to watch the game and see some fireworks with my family. But I wanted to pop in and say hi to everyone.
Thank you for coming.
I missed you all. So
have a good 4th of July, Christy. See you.
Yep. Bye.
So there's something about Chris Palmer having a petition to get private funded studies of keto and diet and mental health.
Yeah.
I got to tell you guys something. This is great news. I want to tell you something. I met a research fellow at UT where I work who is studying ketogenic diet as therapy for mental illness. And that's a real paid position to study a keto diet. And, you know, totally versed with carnivore, understood exactly what I was doing, understood what I was coming behind, and was, you know, they're actually studying a keto diet. But I was like, wow, that's amazing. At my school at UT, which is not a small school, that's really encouraging that there's that stuff going on. And for Alzheimer's too, they were doing research. So it's really interesting what's going on, and I'm hoping it's just going to take off. But that really encouraged me. So, all right, talking about that, let's talk about the benefits of
That's
the carnivore
the petition going around at the moment. I just posted there. There's I've got it on my social medias. You can check it out. There is a study working on the ketogenic diet effects on mental illness, but it's been blocked. It's been blocked by politicians in America and
in Maryland, in the state of Maryland. Yes, I saw that. And there's a petition going around. I signed it and passed on to it.
Try and get it going again. So you know, please sign the petition if you can. If you see it around, and I've got all of my social media as well, but it's all around everywhere. You know, please sign it, because I mean, it's just obviously there is a lot of money behind blocking a study into ketogenic diets and the effect on mental illness. I mean, why would anyone want to stop that? Honestly,
right? Yeah, just for money. That's, you know, we were talking about that earlier. It's what it is. It all comes down
to the big
to
food companies must
money.
be pressuring them somehow. Somebody's getting pressured by.
Where can we find the petition? I think the link is a few things above.
Okay.
The link like this is changed.
All right. Well, if you go into my community page, it's the top one. It's the top link on the. I put it there this morning.
Okay.
With so you can check it out there as well.
I just copied and pasted his link and put it in another tab. It popped right up with the ribbon.
There you go.
Yeah.
What are you eating, Rick?
Yeah, I saw him eating.
I'm having pork.
Okay.
He's still eating his dinner. Oh, you're eating your dinner now after his
my dinner. You know, I was working late today. I've been busy. One of the things about me, I'm always on the move. I hardly ever sit down for long. That's one thing everyone can say. Rick's always on the move. I'm always busy. I had somebody bring over a car that needed repairs. I knocked that out. I had to do an electrical job. You know, I just keep doing it. And then sometimes I have to eat late. What can you do?
Yeah.
The study I referred to, I don't know the name of it. I met the research fellow. I will find that out and see if I don't know. It's not published yet because it's ongoing. So I don't know if you'll to read much about it, because usually when they're doing actual research, they're not advertising it, probably because they're trying to be the first to get to whatever they're getting to, right? And they're competing with other universities. But it was just really encouraging. But as soon as I find out, I will post something for you guys if I can, if I have permission. So let's talk about the benefits. This is, again, Nerd Fitness. This is the Carnivore Guide, 5 questions addressed in carnivore. What are the benefits of carnivore? Well, potential for weight loss, that's for sure.
If you need to lose weight. Now, there are some people that will need to gain weight, and it will help you, like you said, optimize. Your weight goes where it's supposed to be for your body.
Yeah, there's people that have been bulimic and anorexic and have reversed that, right? So for sure, it can do the opposite. But for most people, they're eating a standard American diet today. I think you'll pretty much universally lose some weight from inflammation going away. Just from inflammation, you'll peel a lot of weight out. Yeah. And then the other thing is
it optimizes your hormone production, and you know it balances everything out. So either way, it'll do what your body needs to do. Whether you need to put on weight or lose it, it will go either. You know,
I think weight loss is a terrible word to use because it's really,
I think so.
again, optimization, because you might put muscle and bone density on, right? As
Weight
is,
redistribution. You get on the
Yeah.
scale, the number's almost the same, but you've gained muscle. You've lost body fat.
you've
It's,
lost an inch on your waist.
it's
Yeah.
weight redistribution.
Well, I think
of your body.
what you really want to say is it's composition changing,
Mhm.
and it optimizes fat loss, but understandably also people are more familiar with the term weight loss.
Yeah,
it's like
and-
talking about calories. Like calories that are a non-existent construct that basically, these companies made up so that they can blame us for eating too many calories, not their junk food. But again, everyone still believes in that stupid ideology of calories. So it's the same with weight loss.
Is this a psychiatric study that I think Dr. Barry shared a link? I don't know. I don't know that. That's the one
No,
you guys were talking about
one,
earlier. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the one me and John.
So, and then the other thing is too, the carnivore diet helps you identify food intolerances and allergies. I agree with that completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once you remove all these foods from your diet, if you do add them in, you'll start noticing if you get like a histamine reaction or something, you'll notice right away. Your body becomes way more sensitive. Rick, have you ever gone back and eaten something you shouldn't have ever and had a reaction and realized I shouldn't have ate that, like beans or something? Or
I just had that happen a few days ago. I don't know if you know, I have a friend of mine that he was he's an ex-vegan. He's a meat-based keto right now. So when we get together, I make him a ground beef, broccoli, and onion stew. The problem was when he came over, I don't know, he must have been in a bad mood because his girlfriend's been really, really after him, and his vegan friends don't even talk to him anymore. So he said he was going to try to eat some vegan foods for a while and then prove to them the bad reaction that he has. So he told me to give the stuff I made to the ducks. And I thought, well, I'm not going to waste good meat, so I'll pick out the veggies and I'll eat the meat. But I ended up eating the whole thing because it all tasted so good. So I had broccoli and onions, and I had tomatoes in there. Evidently, it was the broccoli. It didn't really react that badly, but what happened was I started getting like pressure and I started getting gas, which I usually don't get. And then the next day when I went to the bathroom, it was a lot different than it normally was. So, it's funny, but it tasted fine going down. I didn't have any problem with it. But then the next day after lunch is like, man, I got to go to the bathroom. Usually when I have to go to the bathroom, I can wait for an hour or two or more. But no, I couldn't wait.
All that fiber. Yep.
That's got to be what it is.
And that
Whatever
was fermenting
happened,
and causing, it was fermenting and making gas and the diindol methane and sulforaphane from the broccoli.
It was surprising. You know, I hadn't had that effect for a long time. When I tried the plant-based diet 30 years ago, it tore me up. But this was 50% or more meat. And you know, I've put, for example, my tomatoes are from the garden. They don't bother me. I can put tomatoes with the meat, doesn't bother me a bit. The onions I grow don't bother me. But there's something in that broccoli, and I don't know what it is. But it was a wake-up call because I'm like, wow. You know, normally I said I can wait. I'm working on something. I feel like I have to go to the bathroom. I can wait 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever. But this time I had a 15-minute window and I had to go. And believe me, it would not have been good if I tried to hold it.
Okay, it says point 2 is the eating the food. So the food intolerance is just like Rick explained there. I've done the same thing. I've introduced things and felt gas, and I'm like, okay, not gonna eat that anymore. You just know it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much at all.
And your body is so super clean right now. Yeah. We are super clean, and we're running like on high test fuel. So when you put something you're not used to having, especially something that's not clean, you're going to react more than you ever would if you're eating the standard American diet. Your body's like, whoa, what's this? All of a sudden.
But it's
I love this part of this webpage.
It's not even processed. It's natural.
Right, but you're not used to having it. Your body's not used to that crap. that
Right.
all
True.
those anti-nutrients and everything, and all your body's not used to all that fiber, and all of a sudden you gave it to yourself.
But I
But
have
I
one
love this.
question.
there's not much actually natural about broccoli. You know, broccoli is a man-made vegetable that's covered in chemicals and stuff anyway, and grown.
That's
so.
it.
True.
The one thing that I've noticed, there is a vegetable that I can eat and it doesn't bother me. I can't eat cabbage because it makes me really sick. But if I make sauerkraut out of it, I can
Yeah.
eat it. It doesn't bother me at
ferment
Once
all.
you
it.
ferment it, you can probably eat
Yeah,
kimchi
once
too.
it's fermented, that's a big difference. That's
Processed.
actually, I
Properly
did a video
processed.
about this recently. Is these foods that rot in your colon, like even cabbage and onion and things like that, because they are very starchy and very hard. That you can't actually break them down in your digestive
Right.
tract. They just rot in your colon. But there's a big difference if they are pre-fermented. Okay, like sauerkraut. And I use sauerkraut myself. I love it actually. Like before I found carnivore as well, I used it for many years because it was fantastic for settling my stomach and also for IBS. So it is really, really good. And I think basically because of the high salt content, you get a lot of great vitamins and minerals, like all your minerals from salt. But it's already pre-digested because you fermented it as well, so it's much easier on your body.
Yeah. So this is something I really like about this page. It has what's so special about meat? Why eat only animals? The argument goes something like this. One, meat protein is highly bioavailable. I can vouch for this. My poop is very small because I digest almost everything I eat because I'm eating just animal-based, foods. So I think anyone that does this for any length of time will realize that it is highly and beyond just the digestion of almost everything you eat, the bioavailable nutrients in it, the proper type of vitamins that we're supposed to have, vitamin D or vitamin B12, carnosine, creatine or creatinine, whatever they call that. These are all super available. Like you can break them down and absorb them really well because
that's the thing too. This is your proteins being broken. People don't understand. Okay, not all protein is protein, sort of thing. Okay, like just because you get protein doesn't mean you're getting everything that you're supposed to get out of the protein. We don't actually absorb protein. We absorb amino acids, branched chain amino acids. Okay,
right.
These are the type of proteins, and they come in animal-based proteins. Okay, they come in the right source, the right molecule for a start, and the right amount of each one. If you start breaking it up in things like protein powder, supplements, and things like that, and plant-based proteins, which is a completely wrong currency, you're getting nothing. Really, your body is getting nothing, and it's just breaking down.
Like putting gas in a diesel engine, right? It's the wrong fuel.
Yeah, that's right.
Wrong fuel.
Yeah, exactly.
It may run for a while, but it's going to blow that engine up.
Your body has to jump through so many hoops to try to extract whatever it can out of plants,
Right.
whatever proteins, and they're all locked in the fibers, the anti-nutrients. It's ridiculous. Plants are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the next thing it says is meat is a low allergen threat, which I agree for the most part. Some people do have histamine reactions, so they have to eat more ruminant animals, like you talk about Michaela Peterson, right? And then some people do have
less aged beef
allergies.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense, right? So, but it's way easier to eat meats safely than it is to eat plants, for sure.
Think about an elimination diet. What is the ultimate elimination diet? Is red ruminant meat, salt, and water. I mean, you do that for anybody who has an issue with anything, and then you very slowly add something back in. And that's
I think actually I was talking to a great lady in Japan the other day. My new video, she had stage 4 colon cancer and metastasized to her lung. Yeah, she's great, but she made a very common mistake, and we were talking about that. A lot of people, when they go to carnivore, they're chasing protein. So they supplement with protein, they eat as much protein as they can, and they completely ignore the fats. And fat, and a good mix of fats, is how you get your hormone optimization. It's not the protein you should be chasing; it's the fat. So that's one thing people need to
probably
mention.
more important for women too, not just sick women, and women in general, because their body has so much more need for different nutrients that men don't. Based on their menstrual cycles and everything, and their
there's that, but I mean, just for everyone in general, you need to have a good mix of animal fats, which is why I don't follow this fad about the lion diet is just beef and water, because you need a mix of fats.
Well, there's fat in the beef. You eat fatty red meat, salt and water. Well, that's what they're including the fat with the meat. You just they don't say
I get that, but it's just beef, like it's just beef.
Fatty
is
beef.
what I'm saying. Like, fatty beef. Okay,
fatty cuts of beef.
Either way, you need like for example, like lamb is higher in omega-3s, and so is seafood. There's nothing wrong with eating seafood, lamb, pork, and chicken if you have it. If you have a good clean source as well.
Absolutely. Chicken is
so the next thing is the phytonutrients. Phytonutrients can be pesticides, which Dr. Chafee's famous for saying plants are trying to kill you, vegetables trying to kill you. They are, and it's just that plants can't run. Plants are the dominant species of creatures on the earth. They dominate this planet by far, and they are survivors, and they do so not by running, but by poisoning things that they don't want to be eaten by. And that's why most vegetables need to be processed highly. It's like when we grew up, our grandparents, I mean, Rick, you probably did this too. Your grandparents probably cooked vegetables so they were mushy. Mine did too.
Yeah.
And I thought it was because they had a hard time chewing. But now looking back, it's actually processing it. It's actually breaking down all those poisons and making it much less poisonous.
Yeah.
That's right. It's like when I make tomato sauce for my friends, I always strain out the seeds and remove the skins. Otherwise, if I take any of it and try to eat it, it's going to give me a bad reaction.
Yeah.
Nightshades. Yep. They don't play around with them for sure.
Nope.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
That's a good point there before too. It's meats are the safest things. If you are out in the wilderness, for example, or if you were on a desert on an island somewhere, shipwrecked or something, the safest thing for you to eat, like in a survival situation, is an animal.
Yeah,
you're not gonna get poisoned from an animal.
Right.
In my survival courses, we ate bugs and animals. We didn't eat vegetables when in the forest. I mean, because it's too hard. I mean, maybe some berries are good for you, but you can pick ones that look like they're good for you.
And you don't.
So
you get sick.
But you'll never die eating an animal or a bug or a slug. I mean, we eat slugs too. I mean, whatever. So if it's alive, you should eat it. If it's an animal, right?
Yeah. If it can move.
Okay. Now the next thing is, what's a carnivore diet look like? Let's see what you can eat on the carnivore diet. A 0-carb diet plan. This is really actually good for a beginner, I think.
For a beginner, I was thinking that.
It's kind of comprehensive, right? It's not super deep, but it does brush on a lot of good stuff.
I like. Can you send us the article, or at least send it to me when you're done, because this is a lot of people ask me, how do I start? How do I do carnivore? And I give the same answers over and over again and direct them to different people's videos. And here's an article I can send them. This is great.
Yeah, some people prefer an article to a video.
Yeah,
I respect. So here you go. here's your beef, lamb, pork, fowl, and fish.
Yep.
Boom. And I throw I throw eggs in there because they don't list eggs, even though that's part of fowl, I guess. But I would say eggs too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all good stuff.
Eggs from any of the fowl and any of the fish too. Fish eggs are amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Then it says, how about dairy? It's an animal product. So dairy is allowed as it's from a cow or goat. I have goat's butter and goat's cheese.
Yum.
Which is good if you like the flavor of goat cheese. Their butter is super creamy,
so good,
and has a goat cheese finish, which I like at the end of your bite. So I kind of like
tangy.
That.
Goat milk is pretty good. Yeah,
put them in my eggs.
I have trouble with when people say these things are allowed. You know, like people, you're a grown ass adult. You are allowed to eat anything you want. Okay? Like, God's sake, I mean, all we're doing is like advising, like, don't eat seed oils, don't eat sugar, don't eat carbs.
Right.
That's
You
not
eat as
allowed. Not
Yeah,
allowed.
it is. Yeah,
For both.
yeah. Well, that that, again, it depends on your choice of your lifestyle. If you want to suffer the consequences, you go right ahead. I don't care, honestly. But you're allowed to eat what you want, but this is, I mean, eat a high fat, high meat diet is going to be much healthier. That's all.
So
I'm not going
what
to
I
say
like
you're
to
not
say,
allowed to.
when people ask if things are allowed, I never respond, yes, it's allowed. I always respond that there are best practices, and based on what your goals are, the best practices are this. And that's the best
Yeah,
practice.
exactly.
You do best practices to get best results, right? So best practice
Yeah.
is not to eat vegetables but if someone wants to add onion powder or onions to their burger, whatever. Like you said, they're grown ass people. They can do what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
And they'll learn, and everyone needs to learn their body and become an expert at it. And this is part of
That's
the
right. Yeah, they're going to have to experiment anyway. I mean, even when it comes to dairy and things like that, some people are great with it, some people are not. So you're just going to have to play around with it. Do what you feel best on.
I like this too on the coffee and tea. It says it depends on your goal. That's exactly what I'd say. And it depends on your reaction, because some people will have, and they will never know they have reaction to coffee unless they cut it out.
Right.
You have to cut it. So I would say you need to cut it out for at least 30 to 60 days to find out if you should continue drinking it or not. That's just me, though. That's what, and I did.
It's amazing to do that. And then if you just have a little bit afterwards, you'll see a change. You'll feel a change if something is changing, and you'll know it's the coffee or the tea. Somebody made a comment earlier about tea. Black tea is pretty high in oxalate.
Yeah,
so, coffee's the lesser of the two evils if you're going to have one of them.
Well, I think coffee is probably worse, actually. I mean, coffee is also very high in oxalate, but
no, it has no oxalate, because the coffee bean, it extracts it. You're not drinking the grinds. You're just getting water dripped over and some of the oil is coming out.
The processing of coffee has a lot of chemicals and other things in it as well.
Depending on
there's mold. There's mold.
Yeah.
And they're stored.
There's
the beans are
mold
stored
in
to
it.
get moldy.
Yeah,
mold
right.
for sure. Yeah.
And a lot of coffees actually that you get on the market is actually cut with other things that just look like ground coffee. Like some of it literally is dirt.
Wow.
They did that. It was famous in World War I. They cut it with chicory. And it was very bitter coffee. And then now you can buy coffee like in Louisiana. They love it. They get coffee with chicory on purpose because they like the bitterness. But the soldiers came back and liked it, so they made this brand that actually had it. All right. So most dietitians would advise against eating a carnivore diet. 100% accurate.
Yeah,
that's good. Just because they are a hammer, and to a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yep.
That's the problem, right?
Yep.
So we're building something complex that needs screws, and you have to have a screwdriver and a wrench or something, and all they are is a hammer. So they're going to treat it like a nail.
Yeah.
So that's what they know, and that's, they're trying to do the right thing based on what they've been taught, but they've been taught, as we've talked before, by organizations.
Well, the thing is too, the Dietetics Association was actually started by a vegetarian vegan ideology. The 7 Day Latter-day, or the 7 Day Adventist Church, they actually started these organizations, the Dietetic Association, things like that. So, that's what they are taught. It is ingrained in them to push the vegan sort of diet and plant-based everything.
So this is interesting. They say here, let's see. I don't know if this is. I don't put tremendous stock in sensationalization of headlines. I don't think this provides a green light to live on nothing but red meat. So this person who wrote this thinks that there are some things you need out of vegetables. Although we know that there's tribes right now that don't eat any vegetables and they don't need it. So I would disagree. Magnesium, you don't need from a vegetable, 100%. You can get that out of a mineral water. Right.
Well, that's right. But again, anything from a vegetable is going to be the wrong molecule for you, but it's the wrong currency. Like you said, it's like putting diesel in a gas engine. It's
Body
not going to work
worked
anyway.
its butt off to convert it and extra. You're getting almost nothing. You're absolutely
Yeah.
That's right.
When you look back at the Mongol hordes, right? They drank blood just like the Maasai do.
There's all
And
their
the blood
right.
electrolytes.
gives you
Yeah.
tons of
A lot,
potassium, magnesium.
almost every traditional tribe, like the Inuit, the river people in the Arctic, they all drank the animal blood with milk.
With milk.
Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
they get, and that's how they got all of their electrolytes.
Exactly.
And that's what
you
I've
ever have
had people ask me that. They're like, well, if carnivore is perfect, then why do you have to take electrolytes? It's like, because we're not eating it right. Because if we were really eating an ancestral diet,
right.
we would kill the animal and eat it while it's fresh.
And our water would have it. We're not drinking puddle water
Plus,
anymore.
I mean, okay,
Right.
there's a number of things going on there too. When you first go carnivore, your body's going to dump a lot of water, and whenever your body dumps water for any situation, whether it's
There goes
exercise or
electrolytes.
anything else, you're dumping electrolytes at the same time. Okay, so and that's going to last for depends on how big you are. If you are obese, it's going to last you quite some time because when you're fat, you have a lot of water to dump. So you're going to have to replace those electrolytes anyway. Plus, we don't make our own electrolytes, so you have to get them from somewhere. And another good source is just you don't have to get a supplement source because I prefer not to because they have a lot of colorings, artificial flavorings, and sweeteners and things like that. And then a lot of people start drinking excess water because they like the taste of the electrolytes. Salt, a good mineral salt, is going to give you all the electrolytes you need.
Yeah. So here they said, who knows what a diet devoid of vegetables can do to the body? The scary thing about this answer is no one knows because there's no clinical trials or long-term carnivore diet. I mean, just look at the tribes, look at the ancestors that did this.
There is evidence of
Yes.
ketogenic diets for at least the last 150
There are
years.
long-term ketogenic studies, not
Yeah.
carnivore only, but
Not strict carnivore, but
Right.
there are long-term ones like Wilhelm Stephenson, like him and his partner did a 12-month study back at the Bellevue, I think a hospital. Okay,
Right.
but he
Bellevue,
also,
the Bellevue
yeah,
study.
that's right, the Bellevue study. Plus, he spent 6 years on the diet himself, and all those winters and summers with it. So that's more evidence-based than anything that has been done on the vegan diet.
So this person says their stance would be advise against the carnivore diet in the long term. So I would not say that. I would disagree.
No,
why are they
Definitely not.
saying that?
This is a fitness coach guy, so he's not a carnivore, but he's got a lot of stuff right on here. But this is wrong, I would say.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
It's an ancestral diet.
Butter
I mean,
is not a
it's
superfood. That's crazy. Actually, it is.
What do you
It
say?
is
Butter?
Butter is a superfood. He says it's not. I would say it is.
It is.
Fat
Yes,
is
it
not a
is.
health food. I would say
well, it's
that's
not a
wrong.
whole food. It's a macronutrient. It's fat and it has nutrition in it. Yeah,
That's right.
it's butyrate.
I do not vilify or deify certain foods. Carbs are not inherently. Oh yeah, they're not evil or good. They're just not good for you. So that's their stance. Bowel movements on an all meat diet. I'm wondering what they're going to say here. That for one, the lack of fiber means you're going to poop less frequently. That's false. It's not the lack of fiber that makes you poop less frequently.
No, it's
Fiber
right.
doesn't change the frequency of your poop. It changes the volume, the bulk.
Right.
So that is false. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about on that.
I'd say this guy has probably spoken to some carnivores, but doesn't actually understand it or has ever used it himself.
If he wrote the article, his little moving pictures are very distracting.
Yeah.
That's I think that's part of the game.
Elbows,
Yeah, they try to get you to stare at it, but it's distracting me.
Right.
It should be noted that followers of the all meat diet claim that while they don't go to the restaurants frequently, they don't feel constipated. They just don't have to go. That's what I feel. I don't know about you guys. That's what I feel.
You
I
have
just don't
less.
go off.
Your body is absorbing what it needs, and there's almost. What do you have left? You have the gristle, which is basically carnivore fiber is gristle. right? Any gristle in the meat. And then you have the shedding of a lot of the cells inside your intestines and your colon, stuff that your body is getting rid of that's not related to food. That's what makes up your waste. You know, bile, there's all this stuff. Versus people who eat plant food, they're pooping out all this mass of fiber that stinks, smells, and oh my gosh,
gas,
you know, gas, bloating, cramping.
Yeah, and they're constant. I mean, their colon is constantly working, and it's just being torn apart.
Yeah,
it's being scraped. It's like you might as well eat sandpaper.
Scraped and gouged, and people who are carnivores and they go and have colonoscopies, the doctors are like, "Wow, your colon is pristine. It's healthy looking," because we don't have anything scraping it. We're talking poop and colon, aren't we today?
Rick, did you want to add anything, or you want to jump in?
I go once a day, usually after lunch, but it's only about maybe that much.
Yeah,
it's not a whole lot. But like I said, I can wait. You know, I go after lunch because I got to go back to work. But if I have to, I'll wait 2 or 3 hours. There's plenty of room. It's not an emergency. But if I add too much plant material, it's going to be a big emergency.
And you can't control it, right?
Can't control
it. Rick, he says he eats over 6 pounds of meat a day and eggs and other stuff. You know,
and he goes a little bit,
small movements.
Just a little bit. Yeah. It's hardly anything.
Now, this guy says now he's going to admit that he's kind of wrong. He says, adding to this confusion in this section, he's going to address the study that demonstrates that people actually eased constipation. They didn't ease constipation; they removed constipation by eliminating dietary fiber, and that's a fact.
As long as they're getting enough fat from animal fat, otherwise you can get constipated.
Yeah, the study, they just removed the dietary fiber and all the constipation went away. Everyone that was eating, so they obviously had good fat in their diet.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, back to balances and extremes. The whole thing about balance is wrong. Eating a balanced diet, we need a little bit of. Well, you should have a little arsenic in your diet then, because that's a balance, right? Let's add some plutonium in there too.
A balanced diet is a mix of animal fats and muscle meat.
Agreed. That's a balance.
Okay, so he says if you don't heed my warning and decide, so we can't share this out as
no, you're right. Now,
if you don't heed my warning and decide to try the carnivore diet, here's some things to consider. Take magnesium, yes, in the beginning.
Well, yeah, if you need to,
you might need to.
Signals tell you have to have it.
Consider a potassium supplement
if your body signals tell you have to have it.
Yeah,
at the beginning when your body's rebalancing.
He says eat eggs. I love that. That's 100%.
As many as you want.
Yep. Eat liver. I would say
if you like it.
Eat liver if you like it. Because if you like it, your body probably needs it.
Right.
And it's a super sophisticated system we have here. This tongue, brain, stomach combination. It's amazing. And it'll let you know when you should eat or not. So that's it. I like this. That he says if you're going to do it, it takes. He's right on 3 of these. I don't know about potassium.
He's right on a lot of stuff in the article, but there's 1 or 2 things that make me not want to share the article. Or I'd have to
way off. Yeah. But what we could do is if you wanted to make a little note sheet and copy a lot of this information.
Yeah, make my own.
And make your own.
Without the stupid moving pictures.
Well, and just say, listen, these are my cheat notes or whatever. You could make something like that. But I thought it was worth talking about. This is interesting. It's so weird that someone would see all this and still recommend against it. So bizarre, right? But
a bit.
He's a fitness trainer guy, so
I've seen fitness coaches before that are just utterly ridiculous. They're the nonsense that they spruik, like the foods that they recommend as well, like just because they're lean and they think they're fit and healthy, that they actually show look, you can eat ice cream for dessert if you do this through the day, sort of stuff.
So he's 24. So when he's 34 and 44, we ask him again.
Yeah. And this is 2020. This is 4 years ago. Things might have changed. You might have seen some. You might have seen some things, right? Since then. And, you know, in 2020, I would have agreed and said, no, carnivore is bad. If you'd asked me, I would say that's extreme. It's not healthy. You need to have a balanced diet. That's what I would have said in 2020. Up to 2023, when I became carnivore, I would have agreed with this guy a lot. And I would have felt that carnivore was extreme. So you could probably, if I wrote something like this, you'd probably find it and it'd be very similar to this. Probably be more biased against carnivore than this guy was.
Yeah.
For me, if I wrote it back in 2020, because I wasn't carnivore.
Larry, there's a question up here at 1055.
Okay. I'm getting to it. Okay. In terms of BMs, that one?
Yeah, that's good.
I answered that, but let's see what you guys think. I typed an answer to that question.
Which one's the Bristol one? Is that the soft one?
The Bristol stool chart is a 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, and it gets, you know, hard. It's watery, and then it gets thicker to constipation.
And then the hard at the bottom.
And you're supposed to be in the middle, right? And I
Yeah,
forget if it's
like
hard at the
soft serve
bottom or
ice
hard at the
cream.
top. She said she had a 1. I think it's diarrhea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And or no, I think she said she has a 1, and maybe it's constipation. I think she said she was constipated. I'm not sure. But I think, you know, if it is, you know, you're probably not eating enough fat. Add some salt, you know.
And actually, you can use, let's see, Bristol super hard lumps type one.
Is number 1. All right, so number 1 is constipation.
So that's not normal.
No.
I have gone through phases with that though.
Yeah, I have too.
And
I would say you're just not eating enough
butter
fat.
because it's got butyric acid in it.
Right.
And the butyric acid is a stool softener. So you can add butter to anything or just eat it raw with your food.
I would add any kind of animal fat.
Any animal fat
is going to help you really.
It'll
so
help.
any kind of animal fat, especially like I always my go-to is lamb fat because it's one of my favorites taste-wise, but it's also very high in omega-3s. So I mean, yeah, just get as much animal fat as you can because that's where you're going to get a lot of your vitamins and minerals from anyway. And it's really
what's a colon cleanse? Is it like a shake or something?
That's anything you drink that flushes you out.
Yeah.
It's supposed to pull things out, flush you out. Yeah.
And it could also be a lack of water, depending on how much water you're drinking as well.
Yeah,
so
stool needs water for sure.
Yeah, take in more fat and maybe up your dose of water. That'll clean you right out.
Oh, here she goes. I wonder if I'm not eating enough fat. Yeah. It's Ellie too. So Ellie's had a history too of no poop for a month right before she went.
Ooh, a month.
Yeah. A 5-hour experience. Also, before she became carnivore, she used to get that a lot, like a whole month, and then have a whole day destroyed.
Add a lot of fat, and then I suggested if you're still having problems, you have magnesium citrate. That helps. And
I think what her problem is she's taking in too much protein and not eating enough fat.
Enough fat, yeah, usually.
Oh, she had that. Wait, she had it on the standard American diet, not on this diet. Okay, yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's the story I heard before, that she would have a whole month on the standard American diet, and then she'd have terrible.
Well, what did she have enough fat on the standard American diet? She could have had all that fiber, and it was stuck in there because there was nothing pushing it. Because remember, when we're eating the standard American diet, we've been brainwashed. Fat is bad. Fat is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, listen, it's 1:08, so we've been up for over an hour now. You guys, why don't you go around real quick and tell us what you're all up to in your channel, and then we'll shut this thing down.
All right.
John, you want to start?
All right. What am I up to? I put a video out every day, every single day. Every Wednesday, I put out a parody song for fun. I'm on live with you on Wednesday nights. I'm on live with Nia on Thursday nights. And my reason for being on here is that I'm wealthy with my health. So many things have improved. I have never felt better in my life, and I want to pass it. I want to pay it forward. I have a lot of things to share. So if you just subscribe to my channel, maybe you'll learn something and pass it on to other people. But I'm busy making videos trying to teach people about the proper human diet, which I believe is the carnivore way of eating.
I really liked the Randall cycle video.
Oh, I tried to make that short and sweet and simple. because
Yeah.
it's a very complicated topic that I can't even understand the whole thing.
It was good though.
But
Yeah, it is very complicated. But I mean, yeah, stay away from the carbs and you'll be right.
Exactly.
What we call that, what you did, what we call that in the Army is breaking it down Barney style.
Barney, what's Barney? Like
Barney the giant dinosaur, I guess.
Not Barney Rubble. Barney.
No, yeah.
Barney.
I think
All right.
you broke it down Barney style. That's what
All
you
right,
tell
that's
soldiers.
me. I'm a middle school teacher. I'm used to taking complicated things and just speaking to 13-year-olds. So I guess
You break things down Barney style.
I'm used to it.
All right, DC.
Yeah, so I'm the same. I just want people to understand that you can come back, you can recover. Anything that you might be going through now is a temporary situation, health wise and lifestyle wise. I mean, it's amazing how resilient your body can be, and hopefully I can show you that you know how far gone I was to where I am now and still recovering from. The proper human diet, a high fat muscle meat diet, is by far the most healing sort of way to eat for any of your goals, really. And I try to provide as much information as I can, and not just from myself. I like to get information. It's great stories from other people, healing stories. So if you have a story that you want to tell, I would love to tell it as well. So you're welcome to. We'll do an interview or whatever. And I'd love to get doctors on there, people, because I like to reinforce that message, because people they like to hear it from someone who's got a title to their name, I guess. But the more voices that are telling people about this diet and the way to heal themselves, the better, and it just reinforces that message, I think.
100%. All right, Rick.
Oh, we can't hear you,
What are you
Rick.
doing?
Can't hear me?
There you
What's
go.
going
Now
on?
you go.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go.
Got a short.
My computer is just like everything else around here, falling apart. And as poor as I am, everything is always breaking down. So I always have a new video subject. I'm either working on something for myself, or I'm working on something for somebody else, or I'm driving, or I'm on my bike because my van broke down, or whatever. So I just try to put little bits and pieces of my life. And obviously, I'm not set up to do any real videos. I mean, other than just the quick ones that I do. But the only reason I do it is because I have people that comment on my videos and people that share information. So I said, hey, I might as well do something. I try to make them short. I do short videos. I try to keep my main videos under 15 minutes so I don't bore anybody to death. But, and maybe one day I'll get some better technology where I'll be able to, put videos together. And I have a lot of subjects I want to do. What I'll end up doing is just using the what do they call that? The open office software, similar to PowerPoint, and stand in front of my TV and just make videos like that till I can figure out another way to do it. But there's a lot of subjects I have coming up, and my point of view is different than anybody else's, I think, because everyone says I get all these comments, like you were making a comment. What was it that it was like Lawrence Welk microphone? I got people that say I remind them of Mr. Rogers, which is better than when I was younger, because people used to say I reminded them of Pee Wee Herman, which that was I never did see how that could be. I guess because I rode around on a bicycle and I wore this kind of clothing.
Did you go?
So
did you laugh like him? Maybe.
I tried to do it, but I never could. I mean, I don't know which one I'm more like, but yeah, when it comes to the carnivore space, I'm the biggest quack, the least qualified, and just a complete oddball. So if you like to be entertained, check out my channel.
Yeah, actually, Rick, if anyone doesn't know Rick, but I'm pretty sure everyone does, but Rick is should be quite the authority. He's been carnivore for more than 40 years. So, anyone that thinks that it's not a long-term sort of dietary habit, then just have a look at Rick's life.
Well, that's
Yep.
true. And then it's like everybody that knows me, people that just meet me, they find out how old I am. They're in shock. I was just
Mhm.
the last customer I dealt with. He said, "How do you know all this stuff about the '80s?" I said, "Because I was a teenager in the '80s." "Oh, you're not
Yeah.
that old." I said, "I'm 56." "There's no way you're 56." "I'll show you my driver's license." They're like, "Wow, you don't look 56. I mean, you look like 40, maybe
I had a
36."
I had a guy tell me at the mailbox last week that he thought I was my 40s. He's like, "Man, it's a nice car." I was in the Porsche, I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I figure I'm 58. I'm just going to buy the car. I'm going to buy the dang car." And he's like, "You're 58?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "How are you 58?" And he thought it was my 40s. I'm like, "Man, that's great." But
See?
yeah, that's a fact. This diet does keep you young. It reverses the aging.
You reverse you for a while.
Yeah.
And the
I
thing
think
is,
because what we consider aging isn't aging; it's poison. It's
well,
It's slow down. Your cells are
So
done.
this is normal aging. That's what this is.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. This is the way people are supposed to be. I'm not
Right.
I'm not like the pretty boys, the muscle boys or anything like that, but I can do things that people in their 20s can barely do. The way I sit down, the small spaces I get in, the machines I work on. I'm upside down sometimes trying to take out a hydraulic hose, and these people look at me like, "Wow." We got a lot of the Mexicans and Guatemalans here. They're pretty small, but they're in shock when they see the small places that I can get into because they think about Americans as being big and fat and very stiff. And I'm not like that at all. I can move around and I can move faster. You'd be
Yep.
surprised what I could do. No one's met me in person yet, but when you do, it'd be like, this guy is really different.
Yeah, for
Right.
some people that don't get the reference, they're like, Rick get into small place. He's 6'6" tall.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm taller than
So
Sean Baker.
Yeah,
Yep.
you are.
yeah.
And me. All right, guys. I'm going to drop you guys out.
All
If you
right.
stick around, we talk for a few minutes afterwards. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. Another great Hump Day meetup. And thanks for stopping by, guys. All I got to say is stay strong and overcome. Carnivore Soldier out.